Hey, what's going on, guys? It is the Coaster Battleman here, bringing you the best roller coaster in each state of the United States, Part 2. This will be from Montana all the way to Wyoming. And let's get started. First, we have Montana, and their best coaster is Little Dipper at Amusement Park Drive-In. This is kind of a smaller roller coaster. It's kind of a kid-sized attraction, kid-sized coaster. It's not really that big, so it's the best coaster in Montana, but that doesn't really mean that much. Next, we have Nebraska. Nebraska, you would think there'd be no roller coasters there because of how rural of a state it is, but their best coaster is Big O exclamation point at Funplex, and when I first saw this picture of this coaster, I was like, "Oh, wow, it's a lot better than I thought. It actually doesn't look that bad. It has a decent looking drop, some okay turns. It just looks like an alright looking ride. It looks kind of fun, nice little family coaster. Nothing really big to shout at, but it does look pretty fun." Next, we have Nevada with El Loco at Adventure Dome, and this is a really cool ride. You have Well, one, it's enclosed inside this massive structure, and just overall, the entire ride experience is really fun. You have a really nice drop, some inversions, some funky turns. It's just a really good experience. It's a little bit short, but the ride time isn't too bad. It's just a really good ride, very compact as well. Next, we have New Hampshire with Untamed at Canopy Lake Park. And Canopy Lake Park is a pretty small park, and their best coaster, in my opinion, is their Gerstlauer Eurofighter, Untamed. A nice little sit-down looping coaster. It's not the highest capacity ride, but it is a smaller park that this ride is at. So it fits pretty well, and it has some pretty solid inversions, nice vertical lift hill, beyond vertical drop. It's just a solid looking ride. It looks pretty fun. Next, we have New Jersey with El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure, and we gotta give it to the king of wooden roller coasters, or one of the kings of wooden coasters. That and the Voyage are the two wooden coaster kings. But El Toro, it takes the cake for me for New Jersey, because we do not know how good New Jersey Double Coaster will be because it hasn't opened yet. But El Toro, we know all about it. It has a massive drop. It's super tall, super fast. It goes 70 miles per hour. The airtime is phenomenal. It may not be the longest ride in the world, but it definitely does a lot in its time frame. Next, we have New Mexico with New Mexico Rattler at Cliffs Amusement Park. Kind of a decent looking wooden coaster from, I believe it's CCI or GCI. One of those two built this coaster. And it looks like a decent ride. It's not really the best looking ride out there, but it's enough for New Mexico. Like, it looks like it's pretty fun for that state, but there isn't really much that stands out about it, in my opinion. It looks like a decent ride, though. For New York, we have Ride of Steel at Darien Lake, an exact clone of Superman Ride of Steel. This ride has the same usual drop, the two huge double helixes, and some straight sections. But this ride also delivers some pretty nice airtime moments. And yeah, overall, really good hypercoaster. It's really fun. It's not as good as other hypercoasters. It is a weaker one, but it's still a really, really good ride. Next, we have North Carolina with my number one roller coaster I've ever ridden, Fury 325 at Carowinds. And spoiler alert, this coaster is in two different states, North and South Carolina. This coaster, 325 feet tall, 95 miles per hour, super long ride time, beautiful structurally. It's just everything about this coaster is just amazing. The theme, the overall ride experience, it's just amazing. What an awesome ride. Next, we have North Dakota, which has no roller coasters currently, but Ohio has too many to even count. And they are known for having some of the best roller coasters on the planet at Cedar Point and Kings Island. But for me, Millennium Force takes the cake on this one. And you guys might be thinking, hey, Coaster Battleman, why isn't Steel Vengeance the best coaster in Ohio, in your opinion? Well, in my opinion, I think it's really overrated. Going back to Cedar Point, I really had a good time on Steel Vengeance. I waited 90 minutes for it, but for me, it just wasn't. It's a great ride. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome. The airtime is phenomenal. It's just not really my type of ride. Not my piece of cake. Like, it's awesome. It's tall. It's fast, and it's really intense. But those airtime hills that it has can hurt my thighs a little bit because of how hard and bulky the restraints are. Like, the restraints aren't that good on Steel Vengeance. But Millennium Force is some of the best restraints ever with the T-bar restraints, and they do not hurt my thighs or my legs, and you get some really good airtime with them. This ride, back when Dinosaurs Alive opened, you felt like you were traveling back in time to the Jurassic ages, but they got rid of all that stuff. But Millennium Force, either way, it's phenomenal. It's classic. It is kind of a classic because it will be turning 20 years old in 2020, and it's just a phenomenal ride. Next, we have Oklahoma with Silver Bullet at Frontier City. This is a Schwarzkopf looping coaster, one vertical loop, a lot of turns throughout the ride. It's similar to Scorpion at Busch Gardens Tampa, and I have ridden that, and that's a pretty fair comparison. It's only one inversion, and it has a curved drop. And yeah, Scorpion, it's a really intense coaster, and I believe is very similar to this ride, Silver Bullet, which has some really intense looking turns and helixes, and looks like a pretty solid ride. Pretty fun. Next we have Oregon, which I'm surprised that this is the best coaster there, because Oregon, I thought they didn't really have any roller coasters. And we have Adrenaline Peak at Oaks Park, and this is a Gerstlauer Eurofighter, the traditional vertical lift hill beyond vertical drop and inversions. Pretty solid ride. Next we have Pennsylvania, which has so many great roller coasters, and there is a new coaster coming in 2020 to Hershey Park, themed to chocolate. You guys probably know what it is. Candemonium, that ride's going to be awesome, probably the best coaster in Pennsylvania in 2020, but for now it's Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. This ride is amazing, and it probably will stay the best in 2020 and beyond. This ride has a drop. The second drop on this ride is even bigger than the first, and even though this ride isn't the longest ride in the world, it packs so much into it. You have a really good first curve drop, a nice fast straight section, then that huge second drop, which is due to the terrain that it's on. And then after that, you have some huge turns, followed by some insane ejector airtime hills. It is just an awesome ride. Next, we have Rhode Island, which has no roller coasters. And spoiler alert, I just said that Fury 325 would be for South Carolina back when I said it would be North Carolina. And I did talk a lot about this coaster, so we are moving on to the next ride. But Fury 325 is just phenomenal. I'm going to keep saying that. South Dakota, we have Screaming Dragon at Thunder Road. Not nearly as good as Fury 325, that's for sure. It's just kind of a small kid coaster. It has a few little turns here and there, and that's about it. It's kind of okay looking for a kid coaster. Not really the best. Next, we have Tennessee, which is Lightning Rod, and this is one of the best roller coasters on the planet. I haven't ridden it. I really want to go to Dollywood to ride this coaster and their other roller coasters. And Lightning Rod has been the king of Dollywood since it opened in 2016. Well, it kind of had a slow start, but once things got rolling again in 2017, once it became more reliable, it's been just an uphill from there. This ride gets rave reviews. It has an awesome launch on the lift hill. The drops are really good. It has some amazing turns around the terrain. The airtime is awesome, and it has a quadruple down with 4 airtime hills in a row. Or actually, according to the Coaster Studios parody, it's 6. But either way, this ride is just amazing. Next, we have Texas, and everything is bigger in Texas, which includes RMC. There are 3 RMCs located in Texas. Iron Rattler, which is the best coaster in Texas, in my opinion, even though I have ridden New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas. Well, and they also have Wonder Woman Golden Lasso at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. All three of them are interchangeable, but I gave this one to Iron Rattler because this ride is just huge, super tall, super fast. It packs a lot into its short ride time. That's unfortunate that it's pretty short, but it's awesome because you go over the Quarry Wall, which is this famous wall, or famous thing here at Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and you just weave above it, below it, just all around it. It's just awesome. You go through so many different elements throughout the ride, including multiple inversions. This ride packs in a lot. Next we have Utah, which has in my opinion, Utah, their coaster is Cannonball at Lagoon. This ride is awesome. It has several inversions, a beyond vertical drop, one of the steepest on the planet. This ride is amazing. And it has this huge elevator lift hill. Really good ride. Vermont has no roller coasters, but Virginia does with Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. This is my favorite coaster there. Intimidator 305, one of the most overrated roller coasters of all time. You'd think, oh, Intimidator 305 easily gets this spot. Well, that's for most people, but not for me. I have my own opinion, unlike Coaster Studios fanboys. Well, Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion is just a phenomenal ride. It has that amazing inverting drop, several airtime hills, and other inversions and turns throughout the ride. It's just an amazing experience. Perfect 10 out of 10 coaster, and it's just phenomenal. Next we have Washington State, and their best coaster is an aerodynamics coaster, which is kind of funny. It's Wild Thing at Wild Waves in Enchanted Forest. This is a classic aerodynamics coaster. Kind of a small ride, but it looks okay. It's a classic. Next we have West Virginia with another classic coaster, but this is a wooden coaster called Big Dipper at Camden Park. This is their big wooden coaster that doesn't look that big in this picture, but it looks okay for West Virginia standards of coasters. Next we have Wisconsin, which has Hades 360 at Mount Olympus as their best coaster in my opinion. This ride is a behemoth wooden coaster and is the best of the big three wooden coasters at Mount Olympus. And this ride has an insane inversion that was put on it in 2013, I believe, by Gravity Group. And this Gravity Group really transformed this ride to have these insane bank turns and the inversion. It's just an awesome looking ride. And even though I've been to Wisconsin a lot, I've never gotten the chance to go to Mount Olympus to ride this. So maybe one day, but probably not. This isn't really a bucket list coaster for me. And next we have Wyoming with no roller coasters. And that is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, stay tuned for more videos. And my next two videos are my top 30 roller coasters I've ever ridden, 2019 edition, parts 1 and 2. Stay tuned for that.